And welcome to Revolution Radio Studio A. This is Planning Collingwood Open Roundtable Slightly Comedy Show. My name is Monty Dean. How are you? Pause for answer. Good to hear. A big thank you to Tony and or Wi-Fi. Why not? Why not? For the Wi-Files and gentlemen as of course. Welcome to rehearsal. Anyway, if you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to freedomslips.com or revolution.radio and donate what you can. Click on the Patreon button and get some goodies, I believe. There's also merchandising there. Merchandising! Yeah. I don't think there's Revolution Radio, the flamethrower. Mind you, in these trying times. Anyway, so once you're there, then pop into the chat room. Fantastic people, as always, in there. Just reading the chat room, so I'm just going to get sneaky and say you should go in there and see what they're talking about. Aha! If you'd like to join me, it's Monty_Dean here on Skype. I've sacrificed small animals to the internet gods, Connectividius, and her twin sons, Downloadius and Updatius. Basically, if a flyer enters my house, I smack that mother lover down. I'm a Buddhist on the outside of my house. And two gentlemen that have joined us, our Boston correspondent, Brandon Young. I was in a rap group called Public Energy. He was Be Real. I was Mont D, Word. And he's got a friend there as well. Yes, you got Brandon Young, as well as the animated corpse of Prince Philip. So, gentlemen, how are you?
That's right. Yes, hey Monty, good to be here. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Prince Philip, he's a bit incapacitated at the moment. We're trying to shoot some electricity.
Surely you jest. Yeah.
No. We're trying to, get the electricity going. So we kind of had a power outage, the city kind of went out of power. So we were trying to, don't tell anybody, but we're trying to get the city's, power working again. So sorry about that, everybody.
Well, it works for Frankenstein. So, everyone calls the monster Frankenstein. Well, it's Frankenstein Jr. We've also been joined by our Sydney correspondent, Cortek. Are you still underwater, sir?
No.
Thank you for joining us here.
Good night.
And that's all we get from Cortek today, ladies and gentlemen. Insightful as always.
No, it's sunny. It's a bit wintry, but not pissing down 24/7.
Well, yeah, it's quite nice here in Melbourne, actually. It's like, hang on, it's the last day of March. We're 25% through the calendar year, everyone. Sigh. And it's quite warm.
What year?
According to the church, 2021.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Gregory.
Yeah. Oh, Gregory.
Good old Greg.
Do you ever do that when you're asking people what date it is? And they tell you what date it is, and you go, "No, what year is it? Damn you! What year?"
No, I always say, "What calendar do you mean?" And they always are like, "Sir, we're trying to book an appointment. This is a doctor's office." Yeah, I'm like, oh.
Yes, I had a joke and it slipped by me as always. Damn you, mind.
It'll come back.
Yeah, well, it usually does, just to interrupt the flow as always. So, yeah, that's right. People ask me, "Oh, what's your birthday?" Friday. Well, this Friday? Oh, no. When I was born. It was born on a Friday. Well, actually, it was born on the full moon after the first full moon after the start of the lunar calendar. So it moves around. So I really need to talk to someone who knows about space and things. Of like, the solar calendar is always the same date, but the day changes, and that's how they do it. But the lunar calendar makes more sense.
There's got to be something cool to be being born on a full moon, doesn't there? There's got to be some kind of secret power.
Lycanthropy, a little slight lycanthropy or something.
Well, if you go into the astrology of it, my moon and sun are in opposition.
Yeah, so they cancel each other out.
Yeah, that's a joy.
So no wolf.
They reflect each other,
Yeah, it's like a battery. There's an
turn a negative to a positive is what I say.
That's right. Yes, I'm the conduit between the solar and the lunar. And lunar just means moon. I like that, how...
Basically, you're an alchemical person.
Yeah, man. I do like the arrogance of some part of humanity, the elite, basically. What are we going to call that big white thing, the satellite that orbits the Earth? Oh, you mean the moon? That's brilliant.
Oh, right.
Moon, really?
Satellite. Yeah.
Yeah, satellite, but lunar, which is where you get lunatic, and solar is from sol, and so what's the closest star to the Earth? Alpha Centauri. No, it's the sun.
Yeah.
But sun is just another word for sol. I mean, for star. And if you want to get really deep into what Jordan Maxwell points out, the elites worship the sun on a negative aspect.
Black sun.
Yeah, the black sun. Yeah. Now, that's not a judgment on the sun. The sun's just there like, I love everyone, clearly. I mean, have you seen the planets that are dragged behind me in a cone shape as I go through the
too close to me.
Yeah. I'm hot, all right?
Yeah.
However, it's the black sun. I had another word for it. I can't remember it, but it's probably a good thing because I'm not giving it energy.
Black sun supposed to refer to an inner hollow Earth sun?
Yep, that too. I think. Yeah,
black sun associated with the Reich and stuff like that.
That's right.
Stuff going on in that respect.
Yeah, the Thule Society and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just quickly from the chat room, Flippy has mentioned that my sun and moon are square, and I've just gone, what, the nerds?
Astrology nerds.
It's the square.
I'd like to know more about astrology. I'd like to know more about the houses of the moon, because that seems to be very important to a lot of people.
Well, a good start is the great. I need to read more of. I've gone blank. Mark Twain, Samuel, someone.
Samuel Clemens.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Good old Clemmy. He had a great mind. He actually toured Australia, so props to your mother.
He toured a lot of places. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. He actually went global back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And what's the quote, if I can say it correctly? Astrology is fascinating, and if it's fake, it's still fascinating.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have to, do you believe in astrology? Here or there.
Well, for him, he was born when Halley's Comet was appearing. And then
There's another thing like Monty's full moon.
And he died on the day of Halley's Comet's return.
That's kind of crazy.
So that's kind of interesting.
People can kind of wheel themselves out of the picture.
Come on now. He was
I think they faked it. It was one of those. It was sort of one of those Steve Jobs things.
Yeah, he was a walk-in, and
it's gone 12:05 a.m.
No. He's a walk-in, and he just left his ship on a really big orbit. And so when the ship came back, it's like, hey, this is my ride. Peace. I'm out of here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, someone who doesn't own a ship, but he does tinker with cars. We've been joined by Ospol. That's Ospol, ladies and gentlemen. Even more of an enigma than Cortek.
Yeah.
Cortek said a word.
I'm sorry, it's my mobile telephone. It's meant to be a smartphone, but it's not that smart.
No. Well, smartphone dumb person, and I own 2 smartphones. So how dumb am I? Hello. Oh, he's popped off. That wasn't an insult to you, Paul. His mobile phone probably got insulted. Who knows in this day and age where I'm offended. It's like, and now I'm even more offended because you haven't acknowledged my offense. Offense? I live in a building. Anyway. Paul's back.
He's back.
Hey. And just to get it out of the way, I put up last week's show on the YouTubes and Odyssey, and we can talk about how they're being sued by the SCC. Joy.
YouTube
Odyssey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Odyssey.
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I got an email saying, it's not really you. They're going after the crypto. However, one of the comments was they're going to tune in for this week's show because Cortek is going to tell us about his snail.
Not again.
Yeah, it's been requested.
I took the shell off, but he seemed a bit sluggish.
Yeah, the last...
the first time was the best. You can't...
the second time when you forgot was good, but the third time you're under pressure and you got the wording wrong and the performance sucked.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it a third time.
It was requested. The audience. Tens of people listen to this show, dude.
Sometimes.
Oh no. Well, actually, it says it views, and the average views about a quarter of it. So they get 25% in. It's like, oh God, he is annoying. Turn it off. However, there we go. Oh, hang on. That. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you're on radio, but we just saw Paul's.
That looked like the video from Planet Hollywood. No, Hollywood Pizza, or whatever, the ping pong comet pizza.
We've all ping pong comet. Oh no, let's not get into the Pizzagate yet. We've been joined by the Viking.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Yeah, cool. Well, this is going to stretch out to 2 hours.
I will make a comment about the Gregorian calendar, how they screwed up the whole pagan calendar because they pushed everything forward 6 weeks. So if you're familiar with Shakespeare's famous play *Midsummer's Night Dream*, falls on the solstice. But it's midsummer, but we celebrate solstice as the first day of summer. And they did this to screw up the whole the ritual aspect of the pagans of the day. So we're actually right now in mid-spring, which we are celebrating first day of spring. But so I'm always 6 weeks behind, or ahead.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because we just had an equinox. Now I know I have an intelligent audience. I definitely have intelligent guests. Equinox is very close to equal because it's 12 hours a day, and so just on basic math and just reason and logic, it would be the middle of the season. And same with the solstice, where it's the furthest the sun is either close or horizon or whatever it is. And also the way that they changed the calendar, where apparently if you look at the history books, was it 10 days or 8 months, or they completely it's like here's the changeover, and there was 10 days. They just like, that's the week and a half that we don't mention. And it was really weird because they lined it up to the solar I'm going to say calendar because I can't think of the right word, but
instead of the lunar calendar, right?
Yeah, because it's the equinoxes and the solstices. It's always on the 20th and 21st of the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th month.
Now here's a mind twister: that if we actually are on a lunar calendar, how does that affect the horoscope being totally on the solar scope?
Well,
affected a lot, wouldn't it?
If you were lunar, you would have 13 months, right?
That's what I want.
That would make it days of 13 months.
Yeah, it's 13 months, and I'm going to get to playing cards, because the playing cards where you play poker and gamble and solitaire when you live the exciting life I do. I keep losing at solitaire. What's wrong with me? Anyway, you have 4 suits of 13 cards, which adds up to 52. And they're based on the tarot cards as well, which is fascinating. And if you go into the lunar calendar, they have 4 weeks for 13 months, which adds up to 52 weeks, which is the basic year.
Right.
Yeah, we need to get back there somehow.
We need the 13th sign.
Yeah, didn't they try to do that? Obtupius or Ophius or something like where look, it's the toe, and it's like, yeah, you're NASA. I don't believe anything you say. But it'd be fascinating if they do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brandon.
And they're teaching that. Ophiuchus, and they're teaching that that's the 13th sign. And they're teaching that in schools now. Ophiuchus, 13th sign.
Yeah, that changes everything, because the dates obviously change, and
that's what makes it so good, though. That's what makes it so beautiful. So you're not stuck in this kind of thought that everything's trying to keep really rigid as we are trying to do at the moment, kind of thing. When you experience your birthday is a good example of it. So as you go through, tens and decades of years, you'll find your birthday changes through the seasons as well, which, gives you a sense that, you're flowing along with it instead of trying to be rigid in the face of that
well,
fly,
every 4 years it jumps a day, and so if your birthday is a Monday this year, when it gets to a leap year, well, yeah, who cares? It's different.
Even just recognizing that, it's not the year 2000 would help. Like going back to what how far back are the oldest stuff that we're finding? Is it 15,000 years? Is it 60,000 years?
Which would equate to the Mayan calendar.
Yeah, and also one of the things, this may be, sorry to jump in there, Viking, and it will be annoying, and it's not towards you because the whole concept of the idea I'm about to say is annoying. People are arguing about, oh no, it's the millennium in 2001, not 2000. It's like, well, no, because you don't start the clock like midnight isn't 12:01. You actually have to get to 1. And
exactly.
There was arguing, and of course that's just
That's right.
Be interesting to see how the Wokophiles realize that the calendar is Christian based, and it's patriarchy and it's white supremacy, and I can kind of see
Muslims are bowing down to it 5 times a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I kind of see where it leans towards white supremacy. Bear with me now, because because it's the small elite at the top that tries to rule everybody. Like Deutschland, everything's Englishified, where it's Germany, and Italia is actually Italy. Like you go to these places, go to Spain, and they call it Español.
España,
right.
Yeah,
España.
it's like, and as Monty is my stage name, and people call me by my real name, I understand the thing is like, no, listen to, that's highly rude, but your name's and it was put on a piece of paper, and I've chosen Monty. You dishonor your family by not offending; it's just disrespectful, and so
What are you in feudal Japan? Jesus.
Excuse me, Mr. Young, it's Nippon.
Dishonor your family name.
You dishonor my family, and it's Nippon, not Japan. That's another white man word.
Yeah, sorry to anglicize.
Yeah, well, like the real word
bastardize.
Like Detroit means shithole.
Pajero means wanker.
Should probably.
Oh, no, that's the new name for it.
Milwaukee, meaning the good land.
Well, like the suburb I live in Melbourne is Nuttawading, and there's been a push here because like diversity and everything else like that. And I understand there's got to be a treaty with the First Nations. People say, "Oh, we're a First Nation." There's 700 nations. Do your research, man, or woman, whatever the case may be. But they want to change or start doing bilingual to honour the First Nations. It's like, yeah, but Nuttawading's already an Aboriginal name. Do we have to come up with an English name for it? Like,
that's kind of silly.
Yeah, like Canberra actually means, well, unless I'm corrected, Canberra means meeting place. And
interesting.
Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere because Sydney,
Washington,
Melbourne.
DC means the pig capital of the world.
Have you seen that
Monty.
meme? Hang on. Have you seen the meme of Obi-Wan Kenobi with Luke Skywalker with Luke Speeder on top of the cliff, and they're looking down on Washington DC, and it's just got that quote from Obi-Wan Kenobi: "You'll never find a place more vile and more scum and vile in the universe."
It's like Mordor. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Mordor's a holiday house compared to. Now, Paul, you would like to share.
Well, the funny part about it was, it's not going to have any reference now, but kangaroo back in the day was, I don't know, but hopping.
Well, actually, the 700. I don't know how many languages there are. Even the translator could be taking the piss. Kangaroo? Well, I don't know, because they probably called it. I can't think of another Aboriginal word. So.
A lot of translators paraphrase.
Yeah, and what I find funny, where I can't remember if it was the First Fleet. I'm going to bore everyone who's not Australian with our ancient history of when the English turned up. The First Fleet rocked up and so like, Botany Bay kind of sucks. But they had to wait 3 days for the French to bugger off, which is kind of ironic. The French are there. We don't like them. We'll just hang out here for a while. Then they go in. There's like, you know what? We can find somewhere better. And they found Port Jackson, which is Sydney Harbour, and it's bloody huge. But I think someone they landed in Queensland, and someone from Cambridge wandered out and said, "Oh, hello, chaps. I've been waiting 20 years. How are you?" Because he's been living with the Aboriginals. So it's the official history of, we found this place while it's fully populated.
The Sydney crew actually all walked down to Mount Disappointment and gone, "Oh, bugger."
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, near Melbourne, there's a small mound called Mount Disappointment, and it's called Disappointment because they thought they could see Melbourne from it, and they can't. And so the name was, well, that was disappointing. That's the English. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually got a pillar in it to actually try to see the sea, but you never actually could see the sea.
Yes, Cortek.
I'm seeing that Hillsong must be suffering from the latest publicity about all that stuff going on. They're in the sky today doing cross equals love heart symbols in the sky, which is a PR campaign, meaning people must be taking their 10% of their salary and telling them to
go away.
Go away.
Yeah, well, I haven't
song,
seen.
This a band?
Yeah,
it's a Christian cult.
Yeah,
yeah, they sing. My God is an awesome God. That song.
Yeah, I think that's one of them.
They modified it. Yeah, as Bill Hicks said, they've updated the new Bible.
Is it a rap now?
And Jesus walked across water, and Peter said, "Awesome."
Bro!
Speaking about. And all the British elite back then taking control of everything. It's like, where the hell in the Middle East did Jesus, allegedly his name, find 11 or 12 people with English names like Christopher and Thomas, Matthew and James, and
it's not the one pub one night. It's just chance affair.
Yeah, that guy from that guy from Albion's hilarious. He just told me he's got his family, and I wrote all the names down. And so, in 100 years after
Winston.
all dead, we write this book.
The Book of Winston is one of my favorite books.
As the Book of Gregory says.
The Book of Gregory.
And the Psalms of Cecil.
Don't forget those. Yeah, the Psalms of Cecil, the Apocrypha of Reginald. Of Reggie.
Yeah, I could see that in Australia. The Book of Reggie tells you to calm the frack down.
Shut up and drink your beer, and that's it.
Yeah.
The end.
This Lamington is my body, and this Ribena is the blood of my Christ. That's cannibalism. Shut up, Dave.
Right. Yeah,
so I think we've just insulted most people. So,
and alienated most of the audience as we
exactly. Because you are God. I love having conversations like, no, Jesus is my God. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
So I there's so many names that that person has. My personal opinion and feeling from it is that an example, not a leader. Because it's just your Lord Jesus Christ, and like, I don't think he wanted slaves.
I like the Big Bopper. That's my favorite nickname of Jesus is the Big Bopper. He was a practical joker. He would go around playing practical jokes on the apostles and stuff. He was a funny guy.
One name was, I think, in Xenia Warrior Princess. It was Emmanuel, and which is I've seen it. I can't remember.
That's true.
I can't remember the film, but this guy is trying to teach. He's in South America trying to teach some guys baseball, basically, and they keep saying, "Well, that is what Emmanuel told us," and then, the running gag goes on for a while, and you find out it's the manual instead of Emmanuel. It's like, hey, that still works. I like this Jesus chap's got his got some
about as good as a car manual.
Technicians, and there's in Yosef or Yeshua and it's
Mary.
Yeah, but it's there's some. I haven't read the Bible because I can't be bothered sifting through it.
The rest of those lunatics running around. Yeah.
Yeah, but no.
I've never read the Bible, but I have broken it down, and
that makes sense. But
Jesus was a short man, 4'2", and he spoke with a lisp. And you can read that, and it's in the Bible.
Yeah, wicked sense of humor.
From
a spiritual point of view, and I'm setting up Viking here to slam it home. From a spirituality point of view, the kingdom of heaven is in you, and everything is like, well, yeah, because everything you see is a reflection, and we live in a placebo universe, and basic physics, what you put out comes back. And a man or men came in. It's like, let's start the church and control all these people. What can you add to that, Viking?
Yeah, well, first of all, his galactic name is Sananda. He's on the new ship, Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem is his galactic ship. And if you look at the word Christ, you refer to him as Christ. Christ is an actual consciousness that you achieve once you have woken up to, as you were saying, to the fact that you are self-realized in your own self-mastery, which is Christ consciousness being forgiveness and compassion, non-judgment, free of any kind of expectation, then surrendering the edicts of the needs and wants of your ego in your survival, which has all been subjugated and to create this holography of subjugation. It's all been a ruse based on the dogmatic and pragmatic belief structures, not only in the scriptures, but in family lineage. Your lineage brings in a whole host of these energetics from its encumbrances and its subjugation, and from despair to betrayal to you got the whole feuds and from like the Hatfields and McCoys. Well, that was generations, right? But it maintained as a baton of energetics, and so we're in the thralls right now of the revelation, going to brand new, creating our own script rather than being conscripted.
Yeah, and there's a joke I shared, and I'll clean it up for the show. A quote from Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, Allah. I never said that. So it's just I think in America call it telephone, but in Australia for a while it was called Chinese whispers, and I totally understand because that's racist. But telephone makes sense. But when someone whispers, even the great Simpsons did it, where it's like blah 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 blah, and instead of saying tell Bart to leave now, it ends up with purple washer dish monkey or whatever, purple dishwasher monkey or something. It's just and I've worked in customer service. Yeah, and you hear something and you just sort of you change it slightly. I worked in customer service in a bakery, and you can either get sandwich cut or toast cut, and you do that 400 times a day. You walk 1.5 meters or 6 feet, and you've forgotten what the customer said, so you got to turn around and ask again. And it's like your extreme short-term memory is like, I don't need to keep the. I've done my 80 things today.
Yeah.
Right. Well, then you're a robot. Oops, robot didn't have correct information or forgot. Yeah, that's what you feel like when you.
Well, it's like it's like taking a Polaroid and then putting it in the front of in front of your third eye. And then 7 seconds later, you take another Polaroid, and you do that for 8 hours. The rest of the body's like, we've had a meeting and we're on strike. Yes, I mean your God spark is in the center of your body, just right next to your heart. But the brain is revolting on many levels.
Yeah. Well, who would be the Jimmy Hoffa in that situation?
That would be the reptilian brain.
The R complex, yeah. Right, of course.
Yeah. I like that's
Jack
left
Nicholson.
over.
He kind of looks like a reptile, that Jack Nicholson. I don't know.
Well, he's a good actor.
I don't trust him.
He does when he's peeking through the cracked shards of a wooden
In
door.
The Shining. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good.
And he played a very good Joker as well.
Yeah, he did.
That's right. That's right. My favorite one, maybe. Actually.
It's got the maniacal mouth. But,
Well, yeah, I mean that's makeup, but yeah, he just threw himself into it, and that sort of helped make Batman '89, as it's referred to, a great one. You got Tim Burton when they cast Michael Keaton's like the comedian. That's not going to work, and it did.
Pornographer.
He had a cool car.
Oh yeah.
That car was amazing. I love the Batmobile. Yeah.
Yeah. By the time the third movie came around,
based on a Corvette. Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked well, and I have to buy it on Blu-ray. I think I did have it on DVD. I'm sharing too much. Anywho,
I love it.
I love that movie so much.
I'm sorry, Batman.
Where did they get a load of me, Batman?
Because you're my number one guy. And Jack Palance.
That's really good.
Jack Palance was just a natural scary guy.
Because Jack, you're my number one guy. Yeah, where does he get his wonderful toys? And I love when I did watch Family Guy, there was an episode where the running gag was Peter would say to the Peter copter or the Peter blimp, and he would constantly crash into Joe's house. And I think on the third or fourth time, it's like, how can you afford these things? And Peter says, I don't know.
Yeah. Military budget. Yeah.
Well, it's a cartoon. You can do that. But anyway, let's try and bring in, we've gone for a quarter of the show. We'll bring in some local references, up-to-date, hard-hitting information that people will go, YouTube has suspended Ladder with Crowder.
No.
Yeah, and so Crowder's suing YouTube as well as Twitter, and it's got ripples going out, and it wasn't
Project
because
Camelot down, I heard.
Yeah, well, yeah. So they're clamping down on it's. Are you a platform or a publisher? Because you're acting like a prick. The third P. And
it's basically a Netflix.
They're trying to control the narrative because it's getting out of control. An example of that is YouTube is now slightly ironic because I'm going to put this show on YouTube, and for people listening on YouTube, because tens of people want to watch it. They're getting rid of the downvote. Because apparently the president, because the president of the United States is getting bombarded by downvotes because no one likes what he's doing, and
take that comment button off Facebook.
Basically that's the level
we're getting rid of the internet.
Well, that's what they want. They can't control. And so the narrative is slipping away. And I glanced at a Benjamin Fulford report, only the free bit, because, hey, I'm cheap and I have no money. And
the Chinese government is coming to run, and then the Japanese, like computerized voice Fulford report.
Stuff like that, yeah. However, and you can see what's going on, like, who knows if he's making it up.
The Dragon Societies.
But the fake presidency of Biden going in is failing because no one believes it because of how weak he is.
In the Benjamin Fulford thing, sorry. Go on. No, you go on. Finish.
Thanks. Great. The funny part about it is Ted Cruz went down to the border and went in, and some people went in taking photos. Mate, the damn poor little munchkins are sandwiched in with just the, cellophane, emergency blankets.
No, it's much worse now. Yeah, and also during that, did you see, Paul? Someone from the Democratic Party just stood in front of Senator Cruz's camera.
The person that. Yeah. Oh no, there's nothing to see here. We are not a zoo, is what she was saying. Yeah. No, we need to protect the privacy of these people. Beg your pardon, but this is your doing. No, but we need to do this now. It's so ironic and in your face. It's just in Australia, honestly, we'd knock the damn bloody idiot out. I don't care if it was male or female or whatnot. I would have.
That's the spirit.
Well, mind you, the corrupt government
out of the way.
Said
if you get in my face and personal area, right, within 6 feet, like COVID should be, I'm legally allowed to take you out.
Everyone playing at home. You can imagine Paul with a couple of broom handles and just pointing at people when he walks through a supermarket. Hey, 6 feet. Meter and a half.
You kangaroos over there, sit down.
No. I've got crutches for that if necessary. Works better. And no one can stop me because they're crutches.
Well, unless you lift both up and then you're buggered. But Wendy, I can fly, smack. Anyway, our government, we've stopped the boats, and you're racist. Like, no, there shouldn't be queue jumpers. Fill out the forms. I know it's not very Australian, but fill out the forms, and if you're deemed worthy to enter Australian society, you will. However, the government's gone, we'll stop the boats, and then you put them on a concentration camp in another country. That's not a good look. Especially, have you seen the size of Australia? The population of Los Angeles. It's like having the population of Los Angeles living in the 50 states of the United States. That's a lot of space.
Not in space, though. Did you see? That ship stuck in the Suez Canal? Draw a little picture. Is that legit?
I believe so. It's either a middle finger or male genitalia.
Apparently, it's carrying around 20 containers full of dildos, vibrators, and stuff, and it's causing a lot of concern for people who've had their orders in.
Geez.
So that's where they are.
The SJWs are freaking out. I had a shipment coming in.
Is that how they got it out? They turned them all on so it could vibrate its way out.
That's not a bad idea.
But that's the second time it's had an accident,
Yeah, at the same time in China, a truck of the same company jackknifed on a highway and blocked all that up, and it's like, nothing sus. Nothing sus. We're in the the conspiracy world, and it's like, hang on, there's a massive connection, unless the prime creator is writing better jokes.
What is that company?
Evergreen.
Same company from Korea. Taiwan. Taiwan. From Taiwan. Let me think. It was Taiwan.
Yeah,
Evergreen exactly from Taiwan.
Yeah, I think what actually happened was there was an Australian captain going through the Suez Canal and tried to do fishtails.
Sure he wasn't that Greek captain again on a new ship and he was just waving to someone on the right-hand side?
I think it was a Greek captain, yeah. Us would have actually pulled it off.
I'm sure it's a Southern European talking because they use their hands.
Exactly.
I to be fair, so do I. I've knocked over too many pints trying to tell a story.
Yeah, it's definitely no accident.
Well, how can you look at it? It's a straight line and it's wedged like that. And it's like, well, go ahead, Viking.
No. In order to go through the Suez Canal, they take you off pilot. It goes to autopilot via satellite. So that was definitely hijacked.
Yeah, it'd be kind of tugging you through, yeah.
And a couple of tugs to boot.
Sometimes, but not always.
Yeah, and there's that poor guy with an excavator. How you've seen
We've
how big
only got one.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah, it's just like trying to dig away the sand, or like, oh, this is going to work eventually. It just that's the level of business on the planet where if it loses 3% of productivity, everything collapses. They've pushed the system so there's no buffer, and it has to work. And if something catastrophic like that, it backed up billions of dollars and blah blah blah. I'm like, which idiot's running this thing? What you should have a buffer. I mean, it's called common sense.
Oh, what? What's common these days?
It should be called not outrage. That common sense.
Yeah. Common outrage and defense.
And offense. Yeah.
As Steve Hughes, the comedian, says, you know what happens when someone gets offended? Nothing. It's you. It's if you're offended, what's it going to do with me? I'm just, unless you're being mean, but that's basically where we're at. So yeah, it's kind of hard. Like I'd like to praise Viking for being a brave man to look at the news, because it's just like I'm so over it. It's like
I have to though, because I come on air. The difference is I don't get affected. And I know it's all. I might as well be watching Saturday cartoons. I mean, that's the level of the news. But I basically use it as a pulse of idiocy, absolute idiocy. I was really just astonished. I went in to get some my prescription today. I walked into my drugstore. I could not believe the line, people lining up for the vaccine. I mean, it was disturbing to see all these people. I felt like they were going to their death at Auschwitz. It's just like that was the feeling I had in my gut. Is that their RNA derangement syndrome needing to get a jab is just pathetic.
Well, that's what they're being told. They're under the assumption through the medical system and the politicians that get the vaccine, you'll be cured and everything will go back to normal. And this will still be going next year because, they've been pointing out. They've been pointing out.
Second and third one. I mean,
they've been pointing out that once you've got the vaccine, you still have to social distance, wear masks. And smart people have gone, then why have the vaccine? Does it work? And it's still technically in clinical trials. They've just jumped to humans, and like my mum's going to hold off, but I think my dad's going for it. And I just get back to, well, that's free will. And of course, the next life or the next evolutionary jump, we'll meet up again, and we're going to have a lovely conversation.
That waiver that you're signing is showing that it is a clinical trial, and if you die, your insurance is forfeit.
Yeah, and see, that's what I find slightly amusing as well. Oh, there'll be New World Order and everything else like that. Yeah, but if there's all these people who've died and transferred to the next level of reality, if the planet evolves and takes everyone with them, there's going to be a lot of ghosts very upset. It's like, hey, remember me? Whack.
It's just another excuse. And I know in Britain, there's 4 different types of vaccines being distributed throughout the world, or 5 or 6 or whatever. But the blood clotting has caused over 10,000 deaths, and they're attributing it to COVID.
Yeah, well, George Floyd.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, George Floyd had COVID. So I don't think the memorandum was that anyone who dies from COVID would be classed as a COVID death. I think he was beforehand.
I don't think he's actually dead. He had a twin brother, and the way they carried him off without even trying to check his pulse, and the black men came and threw him into a van, and I don't think he's dead. I think the whole thing was a psyop.
I have seen footage of a police officer giving him CPR in the ambulance, so I'm not sure if I'm ever going to watch the 20 minutes of it, because it's not a pun, but it's not black and white. It's not cut and dry. There are so many things of it, and it'd be interesting to see if they follow the letter of the law, because the police, that's protocol, that's training, to put the knee on the back of the neck. He didn't die from asphyxiation. It was a heart attack because he had heart problems. He just took 2 Percocet. He's on fentanyl and meth, and he lived a hard life. But people just saw that 8 minutes of like, oh, a white man killed a black man, and whatever happens. It's going to be the opposite of Rodney King, because you've got Rodney King having the living crap being out of him by 4 cops, and it's on videotape, and it's like, well, that's evidence.
And he wasn't
he's a nice gentleman, but the thing is now they've sort of taken that scenario and just gone, oh, Floyd couldn't breathe. He said that while he's being pushed into the car. He said it 28 times even before he's on the ground. Anyway. My point is, whatever the verdict, things are going to pop off, and like if they find Chauvinist, the officer, he may not get guilty murder because it wasn't because of the circumstances. People are just going to think, oh, the legal system's corrupt. It's just another white man getting away with it, and half America will be lit on fire. And that is part of. Will that actually affect the jury, because the fear of them getting doxxed and beaten to death by angry people because they can't deal with their own lives?
But then how many people did Floyd shoot prior to when he got arrested. You know, he probably didn't kill anybody. I'm dead set certain he bloody shot him, though. You know?
Oh no, he did. I'm not sure if he shot anyone, but the whole thing was he handed over a $20 counterfeit bill to buy cigarettes. The store owner went out twice to say, "Come on, man, I need the money." Blah blah blah. And because he's a criminal career criminal, and he's got a very long rap sheet. He's got interactions with the police, and so it was already escalated. Plus, being on meth and fentanyl. I don't know if anyone's tried to talk to someone on meth. It's very fascinating. Very, very fascinating.
Very, very difficult. Yes.
Yeah, because you don't want to upset them.
I've been in that posse of the yes, I've got the license and excuse me, sir, can you please leave? You know?
Yeah. And so
doesn't go down well.
It was a perfect storm. Now, even I think the coroner said if this man just overdosed at home, none of this would be happening. It would just be a small statistic, and that's what I mean. It's so nuanced, but people are so hatred, and I've been watching a lot of Crowder when he was on YouTube. 2019, 9 unarmed black men were killed by police, and 19 white men unarmed were killed by police. So the statistic, it's the media pushing that whole narrative of black men. Like, here's another statistic that 80% of the population of the United States commits 48% of crime. Now, I did that correctly because if I say it the other way, where it's like the Native Americans, the African Americans, as a crappy label, they need to sort of work their stuff out because they're just out of control. And in a way, they're blaming the system. Here's a lovely meme where it's like, all the systems and the politics, it's all systemic racism. Yeah, but the left control all of those institutions.
Right. I was going to say, yeah. But let's use the system to fight it. Yeah.
Here's another one where, again, the Second Amendment's under siege again because of these two false flags, two shootings, 300 million people. How many people die, from 18 to 24-year-olds texting while they're driving? I think we should outlaw the phone.
Oh, actually, car accidents. Like,
that's what I'm saying. From texting. I mean, more. Yeah, there was thousands of times more than a couple guns.
Well, today there was actually a car accident in Perth. No one was injured. It was just a small fender bender. Unfortunately, we now have to ban cars. So I hope you all have a bicycle, maybe a poker stick. Yeah, that's the level.
They won't ban the guns because they need that for tracking the tracking program.
And Queensland is at a 3-day lockdown because there's 3 to 8, or maybe I think it's up to 28 cases in Brisbane. Now, Queensland's like half the size of Europe. Yeah. And so you've got people in North Queensland going, and North Queensland's close to the equator, sort of Bruce McDonald area. And if you wore a mask in 28 Celsius degrees,
get a little moist
with humidity, it's like, I'm not wearing this, you
there's a lot of people up there asking, how many times, how long is this going to go on for? You got a lot of small businesses just trying to kind of scrape back in, and then you've got this kind of shit just going on. Who's pushing the button, and really, where's the cost benefit analysis?
Have you, you're aware that Far North Queensland has been petitioning to become their own state because they're so far away from Brisbane. It's the city slickers against the farmers type thing.
Yeah.
It's so far away. It's like, it's different now because of technology. If you go back 100 years, like a senator from California.
It took 3 days to get there just for mail. And that's by airplane.
Yeah. I mean, teleport takes a while as well. Yeah. But, back then, like, it used to take 2 days, like, during the gold rush here in Victoria. This bit I know. It used to take 2 days to get from Melbourne to Bendigo, which takes about...
That's a 5-day trip.
Not if you don't spare the horses.
stop
kill
and
the horses. That's fine. Yeah. And you got
but now
fresh horses.
now it's around about 2 to 2.5 hours drive. And if you've got politicians in Washington and you've got a senator from California, they have to be in touch with their constituents, but also be in Washington for the process of politics. Now, I learnt this from the A team. It takes 3 days to drive from coast to coast if you basically.
Have you ever ridden a horse, though?
No, but back then, how long? I don't know. What, 2 weeks? How long, Viking? Because you're there.
No,
how long?
2 weeks.
Hang on. Asking a question. Stop interrupting. Back in the late 1800s, like 100 years ago, how long would it take by? Okay.
That's if you made it, because you had the Tahoe Pass, which the Donner Party got lost in, or you had Death Valley, which it's like. Once you hit California, if you weren't ahead of the season, you're doomed.
That's right. Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, that's one thing I do like about the English language when it's used correctly. All the information's in the title. Death Valley. Guess what happens there?
Yes.
It's a valley of death.
Yes, exactly. Similar to our bowl in Melbourne, actually. But I'm pretty sure that was an asteroid that hit to make out the biggest lagoon in the world.
Yeah, that all adds to our air pollution because it's the wind just spins it around instead of dissipating it.
No, actually, that was the British testing of nuclear weapons, but that's insane.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, Wimmera, where the English with their arrogance up until the late 60s was like, we need to the French go to paradise and blow up Pacific Islands, but the English or the British went to the South Australian desert, where there's still Aboriginals living, and they've been living there for tens of thousands of years, and they're connected to the land spiritually, and they're great caretakers. I say, Gerald, what shall we do? Well, let's pop off an atom bomb and see what happens to the fauna.
Not one. Let's try it again.
Well, are you aware that there's been 2 atom bombs dropped during wartime, which was in Japan, but do you know
nuclear weapons, so
I think it's Nevada.
Nevada, yes.
Yeah, Nevada has over 1,500 bombs explode. So the US has bombed itself in one state, in one area, 1,500 times just to see how cheese melts.
Yep, cheap real estate is all I got to say up there.
You have to make glass.
Isn't there another way of making glass? No, get Fat Boy out there and let it off.
Instant glass.
Little man.
Let's take
little
it
man, fat man. I don't know why my comedy brain just connected to me. I remember when Hillary Clinton said we should put someone on Mars, and I thought, can it be you?
Yeah, her. Yeah.
I'd like to get
all politicians.
I'd like to get some of that Gobi glass. The Gobi glass is remnants of the Atlantean atomic blast that occurred that took down that civilization
in India.
Do you know what color it is, Viking?
It's China.
Green.
It's like a deep jade green, isn't it?
Like a green, like a moldavite.
I wonder if that's connected because the Japanese, the Chinese have a affinity with jade and the color and the actual mineral. And also from a comedic point of view, it's like, get some of that because it wears well outside.
Yeah,
because it's been there for tens of thousands of years. This is pure Gobi Desert. Should we leave it outside? It'd be fine.
Yeah.
And I think, is the Gobi Desert also one of the coldest places on Earth?
Probably. I don't know. Maybe
during the night.
Himalaya.
During the night, obviously.
Yeah, at night time.
Yeah, not during the day.
In the wintertime, actually. Yeah, it's one of the coldest.
To be the coldest, it has to be 60 below zero. It's not 60 below zero in Gobi Desert.
Yeah, well,
it depends on the altitude. Actually,
you get the Arctic, both north and south, get up to 60 below zero.
Yeah, I was watching American Gods, and they were showing when Odin and Tyr made it to the New World, or
is this season 3?
I think season 2, season 3. I can't remember exactly.
What
However, It's a TV show called American Gods. It's based on a book by Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and he's
One of my
brilliant.
favorites.
If you like Gaiman, he's brilliant at his stuff. If it doesn't float your boat, fair enough. And so they made a TV show. He's an executive producer of it, and basically it's all about belief. It's fascinating. They're using the whole beliefs about gods, and so they've got the Norse gods there. But what I found fascinating is they're in like Wisconsin and the northern states, right next to Canada,
Right.
in 1635, and
That's true.
people are living there, and I'm like, I get upset with Melbourne winter. It's like these people are living with nothing and just like a log cabin and a fire in below zero conditions. You are listening to Planet Collingwood, a roundtable. My name is Monty Dean. You're on Revolution Radio, Studio A. We're just going to quickly go to the message, and I'm going to go to the smallest room in the house and say, we'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Revolution Radio. This is Planet Collingwood Open Roundtable, and it's 3 a.m. eternal. KLF's going to rock you. That's right. I'm mentioning a pop song from 30 years ago. Oh dear. They only released one album, and they made millions of dollars, and they burnt their 100,000 pounds because they're rebels. Anyway, KLF. Yeah. They actually had a book called The Manual as well. I've got a copy of it. I don't know if it's going to work. How to Write a Hit Single in 1989. I think I've missed my time.
I read a bit of that. It's awesome.
Well, cool. I'll definitely. Yeah, I'm going to Ancients of Moom.
There eventually.
Ancients of Moom, and they've got the guitarist with the big horns. It's like it's strange. It's like a soft disclosure of all the esoteric stuff. It's fascinating, and everyone's like, "Oh, this has got a good beat." But there you go.
The whole manual was to how to get it done for nothing as well. How to go to the recording studios and get this thing recorded on tick, basically, and then how to get that and stuff that they all did. It was pretty brilliant.
You'd like this one, The Knack.
Hey, what?
The Knack, the band, The Knack.
They had a hit single called My Sharona, or something about coronavirus. Anyway, if you enjoyed the last, it's a beer song. Yes. For those who enjoyed the last hour, please go to Revolution Radio, revolution.radio, or friendslips.com and donate what you can so we can continue on. Click on the Patreon button. If you miss any shows, you can go to the archives or my YouTube channel, Waferthen Entertainment, and maybe my Odyssey channel. I have to figure that out because they're in trouble for their crypto currency aspect of it. So, like, the universe doesn't like me.
What's this news?
I'll get to that after I've done my pitch. When I lose the radio voice and go to my normal voice, I'll get to that in a second, my friend. Once you're at the website, go to the merchandising tab and buy T-shirts, cups, or bottle openers, mugs, whatever you like, and then pop into the chat room and say hello to everyone. And they're there, and they're awesome. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to give anything away. You have to go into the chat room. I got an email from Odyssey basically saying the SEC is suing Odyssey or Library, who control Odyssey, over their cryptocurrency program. And apparently I didn't read it that well, but they're in trouble. And so it's like, I'm just starting. The universe doesn't like me sometimes, or it's instead of a nudge, I'm being, a 18-wheeler truck is being slammed into me to actually get me into the right direction.
I think they're just being attacked because they're doing the right job and they're not being able to. They're controlling their own service and they're not doing. They want it to look at an like an unattractive option.
Yeah. It's the controllers of the narrative shutting down alternatives.
Yeah,
you go with Ladder with Crowder, everything else like that, and like Alex Jones, and they're trying to quiet all these voices, and they're going out. Parler has disappeared because that was on Amazon. The good thing about Revolution Radio, for those playing at home, we have our own servers. And so we won't be taken off because the company's gone. Yeah, it's totally independent that way. Viking.
So I have a correction. The coldest place on Earth is Antarctica. In 2013, it hit 133 degrees below zero, which is 92 degrees Celsius. So I stand corrected.
Yeah.
That's
And
crazy, Phil.
I like how
It's pretty cold.
it's colder than Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, it's colder than Prince Philip right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Emperor. Yeah. Speaking of Democrats, Hail Hydra, and yeah, some of the that's if I made that connection by watching a lot of Marvel movies, and it's like, my God, the DNC now are acting like Hydra, and they believe that they've gotten rid of Captain America. It's
right.
so bad.
Yeah,
But
and
Pretty good programming.
Yeah, the South Pole, according to some Aboriginals' mythology or religion or oral traditions, I think across the board with everything there, they their creation story, apart from the Rainbow Serpent, is they were dropped off through the portal at the South Pole, and they walked up to Australia, and that leads towards the out of Australia theory instead of out of Africa theory.
and hence in the South Pole, Australian government and the Australian people actually retain the majority of it. Yeah.
So I think there's 52 countries, and most of them have gone to war with each
they've
other.
only got little slices, but we've got the majority. Where
What have we done with it lately?
Penguins and everything lives that we explored, we put flags up, and but we own about the majority. We've got like 42%.
There's more reasons than the penguins that there's a massive treaty not letting people down there, isn't there? Something's
Of course.
Well, there's that underground pyramid where the aliens and the predators used to fight.
Oh yeah, apart from that though.
That's right.
No, there's a massive alien base there, massive. I mean, left over from Atlantis, and there are tunnels that go from Antarctica all the way to Australia. There's an underground tunnel, several tunnels.
Alone is what I'm disclosing.
Yeah, and it's interesting the Antarctic. Now there are people with the shape of the Earth. It's like, oh, it's a seawall. Like, yeah, okay.
So in the Southwest, they have a legend. The Hopis, their legend is that they came from inner Earth as well, and they were led by the Ant people or the Antids. And that whole thing is alive and well. And yes, they did come from inner Earth because
Inuits say the same thing.
When the Atlantis War was happening between Mu, which is the capital of Lemuria, and that whole destruction took place. Most of the inhabitants that were still alive went inner Earth, and so then later on, they populated the planet through these tunnels. So these tunnel theories definitely exist.
Yeah, I do like the Hopi as well, because I believe, I'm not sure if they had a treaty, but when the US government turned up and it's like, no, we're cool, and so they were left alone.
Yeah.
Their whole name just reeks positive vibes.
Yeah, and they've got the great one. You are the ones that you're waiting for. I'm like, that's genius.
Or I love their phrase, Koyaanisqatsi.
What does that mean?
You're either in balance or you're out of balance.
Oh, that's nice. Put it back on the person.
You're either in your Zen or you're out of Zen. I mean, how much more simple can it get?
Yeah, and that's so shamanistic native tribes that they're just like condense it into 4 words. Yeah, exactly. Out of balance, in balance. What does that mean? Go away.
Go away and think about it.
If you don't know what it means, go find a mountaintop.
Go and learn. Yeah. I mean, there's a stereotype the Zen Buddhists keep hitting people. It's like, I'll defend myself. What's Zen like? Punch. Come here, little prick. Come here. Like, he runs pretty well with
Zen says nothing about. It's all an interpretation.
Yeah.
For me, Zen is defending yourself as well. And how you defend yourself as well.
Yeah, my
it's not all non-attachment.
Yeah. My pinned tweet on my Twitter page is love everybody, respect everything, do no harm, but don't take crap. And that's where that's the defense thing, where even Gandhi said, no, if I come home and someone is trying to rape my wife, I'm going to shoot the bastard. I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah.
of course, but it's
No. Gandhi, I think he said.
I think he totally said
I like to murder people and hide them in fridges.
Oh, that's it. I got a little bit wrong.
And I'm a little sorry about
and
killing
sometimes
everybody
acid.
in my village. Yeah, sometimes I take acid, LSD.
No, I take acid. I
I'm a big hippie. Everything I learned from
and
acid.
Sir Winston Churchill.
And he also he's committed, like, you know, when usually in the 50s it was honey, I'm just going to get a pack of cigarettes and then never come back.
Yeah.
However, Gandhi actually said, I'm going to get some salt, darling,
for a walk.
And he went for a walk, 200-mile walk, and defeated the English and then came back. So, you know.
Yeah. Homewrecker. Yeah.
No, it's not a home wrecker. No, he's an awesome. He's like he went 200 miles and then came back. That's love, everybody. The movie.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing at.
Yeah, the movie Gandhi.
Like, how long did you have to go? I mean, where did you?
You've come
why
back.
do you smell like perfume?
How long she was upset for, and how you could make it better.
Why is there lipstick? Why is there lipstick on your diaper? What's going on
How
here?
could you forget the tampons? You know.
Yeah, and if you've got a spare, I think it was 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and if it resonates, definitely watch the Gandhi movie. Was an Attenborough who directed, but Ben Kingsley plays Gandhi.
Oh yeah,
and
he basically is Gandhi.
Yeah, I think it was 20 years after he was assassinated, and it's so brilliant. Like, there's a scene, they open the movie of Gandhi's funeral, and all of India turned up. And you know, even they didn't have 1 billion people then back then, but I think they had
elephants. I think elephants
everything
turned up.
And when they're actually filming it, instead of having a wax dummy, it's actually Ben Kingsley acting, where he's died and he's on the cannon or the gun carriage, and they're walking through, and you've got the troops in front of it doing that slow goose step, which is not fascist, it's just militaristic, and
it's just something to do.
Yeah, the Indian people are trying to make him move and mess up and everything else like that. But Ben was totally committed, where he wouldn't flinch or move. And eventually, people stopped throwing at it, and because it was only 20 years, it's only a generation since the actual funeral. That apparently Ben was listening, obviously because he had his eyes closed, and all he could hear was the soldiers walking on the pedals. He could only hear that because everyone, the not the race memory, but the memory of the significance of the event, it all came back again, and so everyone was completely quiet. And if you've tried to get, if you listen to this program, if you try to get 5 people to be quiet,
it's very tricky.
There's hundreds of thousands of people just for the filming. It's all made up. It's pretensies. Imagine if the Oscars were called the pretensies. Would they have the same gravitas? I know. And for the best male pretender, but the whole thing. I'll wrap up here. The whole thing was it blew Ben's mind because of just they knew that. I think they filmed it first. It just worked so well, and it's a very well made movie. I bring it up because I remember where he did go to England and he went to law school.
Right.
Yeah, but anyway, he was treated like crap in South Africa.
Which everyone remembers him for, right?
Yeah, and he was like, because he didn't have the right skin, he was mistreated, and because he just spent 5 years in England speaking like a gentleman and sort of being treated as equal, and that started him down the whole thing of you can get stuff for starters. Go ahead, Viking.
No, I was going to say, his assassination was in 1948, so it must have been because I know a lot of the empire started losing their tenure around 1947. Several countries gained their independence, but then in that time, India was 361 million. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's as big as the United States.
Yeah, then
and. Because I know when I went to India in 1976, it was 500 million. So that was back then. And since then, it's over 1 billion. I mean, this is
I heard now
land of rabbits.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a rumor or made up, but I like the story, so I'm going to tell it. There was an idea of actually giving people televisions, so they had something to do instead of breeding. They could watch television at night.
That's
and
fun.
to try and try and keep the birth rate down. And I think India, India broke up into 3 or 4 different countries. Pakistan was created, and a million people. Kashmir, and
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. Can't remember the other one, but during
Tutti Frutti.
Sri
that's
Lanka.
a song. Sri Lanka as well, yeah. But the horrific side of it was when Pakistan was created for Islam. 1 million people died at that transfer because everyone, the Hindus and the Muslims had to swap basically. So there was all this massive migration, and there was a bit of animosity between them both. And yeah, I think 1 million people died, which
Still
is
to this day.
yeah.
That's just a bit of animosity. 1 million people.
Yeah.
Well,
When you're talking
animosity.
Indian, but you're talking Indian numbers. that's less than 3%.
It's true.
But
They're
still,
call centers.
I also want to clarify: 1 is too many. That's like when I talk about the Holocaust. I have to start that whole conversation with now.
Oh, right.
1 is too many because
That's
people
always fun too.
Yeah. I can't wait till we start. I saw this. I can't remember which gentleman said this joke. I have a. Don't say oven dodgers. Now, the joke that I heard from it was a black. I think he may be a reverend. He was at an event and he was doing a speech, and he basically said, "Here's a joke for you." Benjamin Netanyahu, and a famous African man. I can't remember, and
Desmond Tutu.
Yeah, we'll just say that. And David Duke were walking down a beach, and they find a lamp, and they rub the lamp, and the genie comes out and says, "I'll give you one wish." And Netanyahu says, I would like all the Jewish people of America to go back to their homeland, to Israel, and live fulfilling lives. And then Desmond Tutu says, was asked, what would you like? And he says, I would like all the African-born Americans to come back to Africa, to the homeland, and live fruitful lives. And then David Duke was asked, what would he like? And he goes, oh, just a small Coke.
I've heard that.
I like it, and it was a black man, and it's just basically pointing out the stupidity of racism. So
the racism,
yeah, but it makes sense. Like, well, if they all leave, so mind you, I'm on the side of the Native Americans. This whole reparations thing, I will only agree to it if there is a native title tax of 98%.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, the huge atrocity that took place in California during the Second World War, the Japanese were absolutely just every one of them were put into atonement camps. And I got 50 miles from here. I see what's left over of an atonement camp. So that, I mean, we're speaking about reparations. They lost everything: their businesses, their homes. Mm-hmm. I mean, all the way down. I mean, I so there's so much that needs to be done. I mean,
yes.
They also lost their driving skills.
No, that's something. No, they always didn't have that. If you watch the TV show Warrior, not intern.
Yeah.
The TV show Warrior, which has been picked up by, I think, the company that actually had it cancelled it, but it's been picked up by another studio. So there will be a season 3. It is based on the writings of Bruce Lee, which was where the idea of kung fu came from. And Bruce Lee's daughter is an executive producer, and it's around about 1874 it's based on, and you see the Tongs, which is the Chinese gangs in San Francisco.
Cool.
You've got the Irish, you've got the white people, or Europeans, and it's just fascinating because in that show, I hate the Irish because that's how they're written. But it's fascinating to see how they deal with racism, and there's hardly any wokeism because the writers understand it's over 140 years ago.
Yeah,
it's not
history.
now. But it's made really well. The stunts are fantastic. The fights are fantastic.
Cool.
The story is so. If that floats your boat, I would check out Warrior. There's 2 seasons already released. High quality drama. It's not for the kids unless you think they can handle it. So I would recommend Warrior.
Sounds great.
Cool.
A bit of kung fu.
Yeah. And because it's Bruce Lee's writings, and you can see where it's basically Bruce's trip was to have the Asian man accepted in American society. And unfortunately, when he died, I think that sort of pushed it further because of the loss. But anyone that met Bruce just loved him straight away. He was a funny guy. I haven't read his books yet, but I
have.
Yeah, Be Like Water. And
Dao Jeet Kune Do.
yeah, he was born in San Francisco, so he had an American birth certificate. I don't think he had two Chinese parents, and he grew up in Hong Kong. And
That's right.
The Ip Man films, Bruce has staggered all the way through that. And if you remember the movie Dragon from '80,
Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
Yeah, interesting enough, was released just as Brandon Lee had died as well.
That's right, starring Jason Lee.
Yeah. So there you go. I've waffled enough about my kung fu experiences. I'd love to learn it, but I don't like being punched, so I'm just going to read the books and go for it.
No, I've trained in kung fu.
There's that one, is it Enter the Dragon? It's one of the really early ones where he's kind of the very start of it. He's walking amongst the gardens kind of thing with this kind of spiritual teacher. And the spiritual teacher is kind of recognizing the fact that he's pushed any art, or he's pushed his art to the point of then gaining spiritual insight about it. So this is this kind of learned spiritual guy asking the martial arts guy, what have you learnt from your art? Now you've taken it to such heights, kind of thing. You must be getting spiritual insights from it. But it's just interesting. I thought,
yes, that's
the fact that any art can provide that if you push it hard enough. Yeah.
And Enter the Dragon was a East and West production. It was, I think, Warner Brothers. I could be wrong, but it was a major Hollywood studio sort of bankrolling it, and they worked with the Asian company that Bruce worked with. And yeah, I guess.
That's how they got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Raymond Chow. Yeah.
That's the Game of Death. That's Game of Death, which was
that's a great too.
That's only been finished posthumously after his death.
Kill Bill.
As well. So it's just it's fascinating thinking of all the greats in humanity that have popped onto the stage and then died young and then moved on. Because can you imagine the material Bill Hicks would be creating now?
Forget it. He'd be cancelled.
Probably, yeah. He would have had a field day with Trump, but I think he also would have had a bit of balance as well.
I think he would have been able to sum it up better than anyone has so far.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he had that gift.
Yeah, because he wasn't a fan of Republicans, but that's 30 years ago, and because in the last 20 years, politically, everything's changed.
He wasn't a fan of waffle joints, so,
Well, that's yeah. But I think he would see the hypocrisy in the Democrats as well, where
absolutely.
It's like, and that's part of like David Icke basically gives the example. If Group A are in charge, you vote in Group B because that's they're obviously better. But then you find out Group B's the same level of crap, and your only option is to vote in A again. And so you've got this kicking of the can down the road and constant cycling, and it's like really and
don't play the game.
Yeah. And that's sort of the level. I was on a show yesterday with Bruce and John Z, and a quote that I've worked with Andrew Bartzis on, where we're in a spiritual war, and to win the war is not to fight. And it's like,
I like that.
The heart goes, well, that makes sense. The brain's like, no, hang on, how do you? If you don't play, you don't win.
No, it's just you don't play the game, and there's no game.
Exactly.
We basically go over this on the council, where we are the silent warriors. We are doing our job by just being in our passion, because we're not engaging in that holography. Enough people back away from the holography, there'll be no holography.
Yeah, and that's physics.
Doesn't matter how big your media empire is.
Yeah, you're giving energy to the action. If you ignore obviously can be. Now, there's a difference between ignoring and being aware of it, but if you don't engage with it, you're cutting off the energy, and that's sort of what's been happening as well.
Because they feed on that energy. They feed on dystopia.
Right.
They feed on dystopia. They feed on it.
Negative energy. Yeah.
Yes. If you look at the last 4 years of the presidency, and you look at the last 3 months or 2 months of the presidency, the administration today are getting 5% the viewers of the former administration.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, the most popular president in the United States. Well, to you, the rest of the populace are like, whatever.
Well, how do you measure that? How do you measure
views on YouTube?
Statistics, and you can always trust statistics and polls because they're always completely accurate.
But that's 50-50, but 20% of it's made up.
40% of
100% of the time, it's right.
But however, with YouTube, when Trump was leaving on the day of inauguration, he got like 1.2 million people watching, and the inauguration got 300,000.
Yeah,
it's not like.
Well, you look at like.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but you look at like NBC News on YouTube, and they have like, not saying this is small numbers, but for them. For mainstream outlet with money, loads of money.
What's the number?
Like 531K subscribers. PewDiePie has like 51 billion or whatever.
It's not very many. And it's so funny when the actual numbers are there being held by a third party to actually see how very unpopular these people are.
Yeah, Crowder, Stephen Crowder. I think he's broken 4 million subscribers on YouTube. His coverage of the election in November was the highest rating show for election night.
I believe it.
He could take those people to any platform, though.
In a way, yeah. But the point that I'm putting forward is they'll follow him because they're not watching the legacy media anymore because they're tired of the lying and the narrative, and I'm at the moment I have no idea why I'm doing it, but I'm watching the latest Tiny Animaniacs show, and you can tell. Yeah, I love them then, but this one I'm smiling maybe once every 2 episodes, and they're 25 minutes long, but you can see that they lean towards the left, and they've put it in their writing. This is not fun.
There's a lot of funded TV shows and productions that just slip in the comments here and there. TV's one big, indoctrination program, isn't it? The program?
Oh yeah, even watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They always, it's not Fox News. They would always just a nice glib remark towards Fox News.
Kind of quick.
Yeah, and it's like you could say CNN as well because they're terrible.
Exactly. Right. The View. Yeah.
Oh yeah, The View. Oh man.
The View is like the worst show ever invented.
Yeah.
Is that where they get a panel of 5 people on couches?
Five women.
Cranky ladies.
Oh my God, that is the worst thing in the world.
May I recommend to the parents? My parents. I was about to say parents with children. Well, duh. The parents that are listening, if you want to punish your child, threaten them to watch The View.
Yeah. It's so bad, you guys.
Has it got Whoopi Goldberg on it?
Yes.
Okay, they used to, yeah.
And McCain's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Megan McCain, yeah.
And watch 10 minutes of it. I mean, if you choose to, or you want a bit of self-punishment, watch 10 minutes of it and then ask the question, why is this on?
No, that in itself has to have had led to the demise of TV as a thing people do generally.
Culture, yeah.
Monty, why is it in Australia?
Oh, that's because that's an American show. And Americans are so much better than us, Paul.
Well, apparently.
Yeah.
Finally got that down,
huh? All hail the Viking.
A whole lot.
We had Oprah, Days of Our Lives. It's taken a while for Australian music to actually go, hang on a minute. There was a feeling of, bands that are quality global level, like Midnight Oil and NXS.
AC/DC. It took 30 years for America to discover AC/DC.
No, but my point is,
Wolf's Mother.
in Australia, it's like, oh, these bands are awesome, and then a band comes from the United States. It's like, oh wow, you got on a plane, you're clearly better than us. That was that mentality. It's like if anyone visited us because we're so far away, they were treated like gods. And now it's sort of like, oh yeah, Kings of Leon, they're all right. And there's an actual.
Is it like a big music industry marketing? Is this why we're so about music?
Huge, yeah, in Australia.
Oh, it depends. Well,
just generally in the world.
Well, now because
music's changed so much.
Yeah, but
music's always been.
We used to have, icons constantly marketed.
I can answer it quite easily. I'll answer it quite easily. Part A would be Cardi B, and part B is most music's boring as shit now.
Sound like your father.
Well,
yeah, I've heard Metallica called dad rock.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, I guess it is by now.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well,
dad
demographically,
metal.
But not the actual the music itself. It's metal. It's not dad rock.
No.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
It is dad's rock, though.
Yeah, but they take
that old though.
Even because I went down an Iron Maiden rabbit hole over the weekend. The weird thing is bands like that have been going on for decades, and they're still at the same level of popularity. The audience have stayed the same age. That's what's blown. Iron Maiden's
They're not aging.
mid-60s. Metallica is getting up to 60.
They got the old
But when they look out into the crowd, you can still see 8-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and 20-year-olds. People are coming. They're attracting audiences, but they're roughly the same age. Now, obviously,
I'm a middle school teacher, and they love Metallica.
Yeah, you still get the generational thing where parents take their kids, and of course the kids have been listening to Metallica since they were born, so they have to like it because it's good and they've heard it for so much. But the generational bands now. If Led Zeppelin would still be going, there'd still be grandparents taking their grandkids.
Yeah, you keep families going along. For sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Beethoven hasn't kind of held up like that.
Well,
Beethoven picnics.
Can. I mean, there. Sorry, Paul?
Yeah.
It's got to have an requirement for it. It's normally at night time when you're not talking and you want to go to sleep. What a little bit of classical.
That's never for me, yeah.
Now, Ode to Joy is being wheeled out every time the Olympics is on.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
But also the problem is Viking.
I like Dark Horse better.
Yeah, Viking be interesting to see what you can add to this. Bashar, not the leader of Syria, has pointed out some of that classical music because they didn't have electromagnetic interference with cell phones and all that type of stuff, and they've got patrons, and so they could be creative and tap into their the God spark. Some of that classical music can actually help you heal and tap into theta or alpha and all that type of stuff as well, because it was written in such a way through the vibration, it takes you places.
Yeah.
Well, let's just go broad stroke here. Let's go with all the great artists and engineers and scientists during that time. They all were able to channel their oversoul because they had that unique capability. Basically, when you develop your self-mastery and your skill set, skillcraft, and skill art, you're opening up a portal and you're channeling your oversoul. You're literally downloading, recently I'm realizing I'm uplinking. I'm not downloading anymore. I'm uplinking to my oversoul.
Yeah.
To where all this higher vibration is available, and how you download it in light. So here we have on this planet, we have ones and zeros, and there we can compute with ones and zeros. And the higher form, it's light and sound. So this new quantum system that's coming on board is no longer white. In order to have ones and zeros, you still have to compute ones and zeros. Light and sound is instantaneous. So not only is it a crystalline form of this new calculation of everything, politics and money, but it's also our purest essence of being. So when you get into your theta, you're literally tapping into your light and sound of your essence.
Yeah, and Beethoven exists because his dad drove him to be the next Mozart. and he was probably, say, 3% behind Mozart, and his dad didn't like that, so he kept smacking him around the head and made him deaf. The guy's
Thanks,
12. Dad. Yeah, Dad, you prick. But, Beethoven's level of proficiency was, even I think his nephew as well, where they're not 100%, but they're in the top 90% of playing and creating. And it's like, you're not good enough. It's like, he's 12. And, I mean, Mozart wrote Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star when he was 5. And that's still used today.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So this is the genius of what I call the masters, and this is the infinite expression that we are all ascertaining and gravitating towards, because we've been so subjugated into our survival of subjugation, the left side of the brain, that once we can free ourselves, drop into our heart, as you point out, Money, drop in your heart chakra, the brain becomes binary, right? At that point, and when it becomes binary, the portal opens up to your oversoul, and this is where these people went. That they did it automatically.
Yeah, and it's fascinating. If I could remember what I was about to say,
I think everyone should play music.
Yeah, just to rewire the brain and have that imagination, and even it's so close to mathematics as well, where timing and everything else like that, and you can just have fun, like. Realistically, most people can be a musician. Now, obviously, they won't be Beethoven, but they could play covers at the local pub and get a group of people singing along. And if they play covers, I know fantastic musicians who can play any song you play. Show them. They can't write their own songs.
Harry and I
play.
that yesterday.
It's funny that.
Sorry, sorry to butt in. Sorry to butt in.
Who actually has the greatest fan base for the 60s and 70s music? The greatest fan base are the Galactics. They love our 60s and 70s music to the point where they collect the LPs and they refer to our turntables as antiques. And they love to play it on the. They could, with technology, throw it onto a surface and play it, but they love to actually get the needle in the record player and play the vinyl, and they collect it. And
well, it's physical.
They're fascinated.
Vinyl's selling more last year than it did the year before.
Well,
some cultures,
got a unique sound.
It's all the aliens.
Yeah, some cultures they can't handle that diversity, so they gravitate more towards, for example, the Earthers, which is a gray race. They prefer our classical music. It's easier to the ear.
Yeah, and it's vinyl's just basically a very complex way of scratching in vibration. Like on the groove, that's where you get the stereo. You got the left and the right, and the needle just follows that groove and amplifies. Like if you turn a record player down, you can just hear it being played through the needle.
It's so crazy. I still find that so crazy.
Back in the day,
Yeah,
Wow.
it's amazing.
Go ahead,
could
Paul.
you imagine diamonds these days for a record player?
Well,
for the
I think
needle?
they use sapphires.
Yeah,
Well,
well, I'm sure
in
someone knows
Australia
what crystal
we
they
use
use.
diamonds. No,
Yeah.
in Australia we had diamond ones.
Yeah,
sapphire.
and there's it's got a certain warmth to it because it's
Yeah,
actual
it has
analog.
It has to go up towards it.
It's an
The groove,
the sound is actually analog because with CDs it's like stairs, which have
Squared.
yeah, it's all squared. It's not curved, and so when you listen to vinyl, it's got that warmth. But being a DJ, CDs are so much easier to carry around.
Do you have vinyls, Money?
Yeah, I only buy vinyls that I listen to. I'm not going to buy stuff like, oh, look, I've got this record. Have you listened to it? Nah, I'm not that. I may have it on CD, but I've got copies of vinyl.
I've been saving for Galactic Trade. I've got 20,000 vinyls.
Whoa.
That's the other problem when you love something so much, where I stand in front of either my CDs and vinyl and or my Blu-rays and DVDs and go, I don't want to watch or listen to any of this. And I've got over 1,000 of each. It's like, but it's good to have physical media. That's I would recommend at the moment.
Absolutely.
Streaming services can remove anything and even download. I'm sure there's not going to be an EMP, but if there is an EMP, I just need to build a CD player. If that makes sense.
Go to Netflix. They're charging for all the old Schwarzeneggers and Bruce Willis movies now where
Yeah.
you can still go out to the flea market and buy it for $1. You know what I mean? But they're charging $4.99.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, they're capitalizing, you know, on all the old movies that we have all seen 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. And if you're a big fan
Yeah,
of
and-
cinema, you get audio commentaries and bonus extras and stuff like that. Where for me, I like to see how they make made certain movies. Like
And the
I've
commentary.
I've got the extended version of Avatar. Speaking of acid,
Oh, cool.
and I can see why, you know, some people don't like it, and I'm not sure about the 14 sequels they're making. Like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
However,
Avatar
when
Land.
when that was made, in the colors, children, the colors, it was fascinating. So just watching how they created that, even like when you buy Lord of the Rings, you get the extended cut if you are into that thing, where it's like an hour longer and it's just more. Then you have the documentaries, which I think are longer than the films, and
Yep.
the documentaries or films are on their own. It's just like
They're
this is
pretty
how
close.
this is how we did it. I won't go on about it too much, but principal photography of the 3 films went for 16 months.
Right. Yeah.
And that was a good idea to sort of do it all at once instead of letting people age, because there isn't really a big time jump between films. It's a continuous story.
It's true. Yeah. And I love the Lord of the Rings. We used to watch every year at university. We hold a marathon.
Yep.
Yeah, we run to the local theater
Ooh.
somewhere.
12
and
hours long.
I swear to God, yeah, we watched the Lord of the Rings, first one, second one, third one, back to back.
Oh, the marathons, yeah, the 24-hour marathon or 12-hour marathon.
Yeah,
Been
I
there,
had to watch.
yeah.
Fell asleep in the chair, woke up and seen the next bit.
Go ahead, Mike.
I had to watch the first one twice because we got together with a group of people, had sushi, and they brought out the green tea. We threw a handful of mushrooms in the green tea. I'll tell you,
cool.
man. And we walked over to the theater and just started to come on in the theater when the movie was screening. I'll tell you, man, that was amazing. First viewing.
Something that I'm wondering, like Hollywood's run out of ideas. Apparently, they're making a Lord of the Rings TV show on Amazon.
Yes, they
and
are.
It's like, why? What? Like, you're not going to go better than 20 years ago.
No, and it's going to be more CGI. It's going to be more Game of Thrones. It's going to be more Silmarillion material.
And a bit more programming, less substance.
More woke.
Yeah.
They've even
sex scenes and stuff.
Battlestar Galactica is only 10 years ago, and they're doing a reboot.
Already rebooting it. Yeah.
Should be time for another Spider-Man and Batman soon.
Yeah, because I don't think there's enough Spider-Man films. Honestly, I mean, we've got 8.
No, yeah, they're all pointing at each other. Yeah.
In 15 years.
I wouldn't mind seeing the Stargate series continue,
or that was a good one.
Or Firefly. I really miss that.
Firefly's great.
And also with Stargate, with Stargate, they could actually, if someone had a brain, because there's always multi-universes and rehashes and everything else like that. That was the one thing about Doctor Who that was good. It was the same story. Even Star Trek up until the end of Enterprise, it's all one story. Star Wars as well. It's all one story.
Galactica, which we were referring to, but yeah.
And the reimagining from 2003 with Stargate, you may have to have some of the old actors in so it pulls in the people. But if you've got good stories and good actors playing good characters, you could pick up anywhere.
Did you say they were doing a remake of Stargate?
No. I'm with Viking.
Instead of Colonel O'Neill, it's General O'Neill.
I think they are. I think they are there. I think I saw that today.
But go ahead, Viking.
So here's the deal with Stargate. So I finally figured out. I mean, I did not understand. My galactic guests always refer to Bifrost, the Bifrost. Which the dwarven
the route that to Valhalla. Yeah.
Right, the Bifrost. What the Bifrost is are the highways throughout the galaxy, right? And the portals. It's like you have Amtrak. You hit a city. You use the local transit. So the Bifrost is the main from here to there.
Or the freeway.
Yeah, and there's different gates that you stop at that you would take a transfer into a portal to take you to that planet. So the Bifrost is the main access way, and the Bifrost on this part of the galaxy is being repaired because it was destroyed during
under maintenance.
it's under maintenance because when now we say Maldek, that's a reptilian name. The real name for Maldek is Asgard. Asgard was the actual planet. Yeah. And it was destroyed. The Bifrost was destroyed, so it's under maintenance.
Now, I heard that they've got all these ancient portal and stargates and everything else like that, but they don't know who made them. They're that old, but they've been used. But
Creator made them.
Oh well,
no,
yeah.
They have what's called. There's a race out there that goes. It's older than the galaxies. They're called the architects or the builder race, and they actually
builder race. Yeah,
there's an actual builder race. It's called House M. It's House M, House E, and the House of Constant. House C is all the elemental races. House M is all the warrior, healer, Nordic. They're the Nordics, and then there's the House of Constant, which is the energetics. There's a lot of sentient beings out there that have no corporeal bodies, right? For example, water, earth, wind, and air, and the fog and the mist, all are sentient, right? But they don't have a physical. But they're made up of. Could be millions of entities in that constant. So those are the three major builder races that created our galaxy and our universe.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling they incarnate on the planet Earth and go into the railways.
Yeah,
they're the homeless.
This is
right?
slow. Yeah.
It's slow. Yeah, this is a bit slow. And of course, like in I can't remember the army version of it, but the railway version of it, if it doesn't move, paint it. If it moves, catch it and then paint it.
If it's stationary, paint it. If it's not stationary, grab it and then paint it.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah.
No, but you said it wrong.
No, if it doesn't move, that would be stationary. Yeah. And I can't remember the army one. I can't remember if it's similar, but
no, that's clean it. Yeah, if it's not clean, clean it, and if it's not, there's a few.
If it's not clean, invade another country.
Yeah,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
The problem now is, of course, when you get in this can I say this man's army? I don't know. Will I be offending? When you're on latrine duty, after you've dug 2, you've got to dig another 57.
Like
that's only if you're bad.
Genders.
That's only if you're bad.
I've dug latrines.
Yeah.
I've heard of two officers. Yeah, no, because I remember like 3 privates. Hey, me speaky. I've got the talking stick. I have to get a stick. Why would I need a stick? It's an audio form. Anyway, there's 3 privates. That's a rank. I just want to point that out. And a lieutenant comes over, right, dig a hole here. And then, they sort of dig a hole and they're halfway through, and then a sergeant comes in. It's like, what are you doing? Fill that in. And this goes on for about 4 hours. What are you filling it in for? I told you to dig a hole. Yes, sir. And they start digging. I told you to fill that in. Yes, sir. And yeah, that's the army life for me.
Yeah, they actually did that in communist China and Russia, right? Didn't they? They would just have people do meaningless tasks like carry.
Yes, because that's the
keep them busy.
I think it's a common busy work routine.
But you need a job.
But there was no good end to it. You know what I mean? It was like Sisyphus.
Demoralizing.
There was no completion.
That's right.
Because I watched Tim Paul
satisfaction
today, and I can't remember the guest names. I do apologize, but he was pointing out, like in communists in the Soviet Union, they judged productivity on weight. And so instead of making a lot of nails, they just made really big, thick nails that are useless because everything was judged by weight. And that's the level of stupidity. Like Tim was actually saying when he was in Venezuela, he tried to get a phone. He had to deal with 6 people because the ideology was that everyone should be working. And so they created smaller jobs instead of like, say, in the United States or Australia, you walk into, like in Australia, you walk into Optus and you talk to one person, and after 20 minutes, you walk out with a new phone and a contract, and you got to pay for it. But in Venezuela, it took 3 hours, and he had to talk to 6 people.
Different shops.
Well, probably not that level, but the different desks where this one person would get the SIM card and the other person would fill out the forms.
Program it.
It's
Edmundo will take your form to Station D.
Yeah, and it was because everyone needed to have a job. Everyone needed to work. So instead of actually having jobs,
bureaucracy.
I don't think that we can base whether that worked or not based on whether it was financially viable. Was everyone more happy? Was there a gross national happiness increase?
Well, they were happy that the authorities would leave them alone because they technically had a job.
Well, you know what's funny? Going back to the nail thing, imagine if they built instead one giant nail. You know, and no one.
There's a 3-ton
nail.
Yeah, there's a 50-ton nail. There's a 50-ton shipment coming in from the nail factory. Yeah. How many do we get?
Stuck in the
One.
peninsula. Yeah.
Well, what are we going to use it with?
I don't have a hammer for this.
Into space.
Yeah, I don't have a hammer for this. Yeah.
No, it's called an impactor.
We could try and roll it down a hill, but it'll just swing back at us.
No, you got to send it up at certain little bits and pieces and assemble it back in space, and then just drop it. An impactor.
Oh.
Yeah, you thought Sputnik was impressive. Now we have this a nail floating around. Why is it there?
A tungsten nail rod. You know?
Why is the nail?
There's more up there.
Why is the nail in orbit? We're trying to hit that Pepsi black satellite that they did an ad. Did you see that? You know, the black satellite, which is all mysterious. Yeah, Black Pepsi Knight. Did it. Yeah, the Black Knight satellite. Yeah, the Black Knight satellite. Pepsi did an ad about it.
What did they say?
A while ago.
Yeah, I don't know what.
No language really. It was just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then this Black Knight satellite. They're like, "Oh, here it is," and it lands.
There it goes.
It's just like hands out Pepsis, and people are happy. I think.
Yeah, some ridiculous thing like that. Like, how did that slip through? The esoteric secret society censorship. We need a bit of sponsorship. The Black Light's running low on some batteries. Well, we did get that call from Pepsi. Yeah, why not?
That's so weird.
Yeah, so
don't
hopefully
forget those humans have that big nail. They have that big nail, so we need to go to the planet.
Houston, there's an object heading towards us.
We
What's
have
it
a
look
nail.
like? It looks like a nail, a really big nail.
It's a very big nail, and it's going into a plank.
It's left over from the Cold War.
Ironically, very small. So.
It must be one of those American planks.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, it's in the Bible. I'm telling you, what do they say in the Bible? It's harder for a needle to walk through a nail than a rich man to whatever.
Pass through the camels behind or something.
Pass through, ride that camel. Yeah.
And the plank was MFD, you know, where they squash it a little bit and make it, you know, strong enough to stop the nail.
Speaking of animals, because I can't think of a connection from camel to, we've been joined by Pones. Pony, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, just calm down.
Did you just light yourself on fire? What was that?
Yeah, I'm on fire.
Yeah.
You're on fire?
We've got 3 minutes to go. So, Viking, can you tell people where they can find you, sir?
They can find me. I'm still trying to find myself. I mean, good luck. But
the Himalayas?
Yeah, exactly. Fridays, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Studio A, the Galactic Interstellar Council, down the rabbit hole, Galactic Perspective. I'm going to go old school this weekend because I haven't brought this up in about a few years, but so many people are starting to wake up that I'm going to go over the entire litany of 3, 4, and 5D and what that means.
Oh yeah, a bit of a revision or a recall or
yeah.
Cool. Brandon, where can people find you, sir?
You can find me at Office Hours on YouTube or .com, and Horse. I just www.horse, the animal.com, .edu as well. I'm trying to take over the .govs as well as the weird ones like the UK .co's and stuff. So you can find me there, and you can also find me on Parler. So there you go, which doesn't exist.
Yes, if you've got a TARDIS.
Quibi.
Yeah. Cortek, where can people find you, sir?
Hopefully nowhere. I'm not that concerned with people finding me right now.
Oh, so at Planet Collingwood. Paul, you pop up on a lot of roundtables. You'll continue doing this? Take that as a yes. And Pony, are you going to take the ball and go for a run and hang out after doing the after party of Planet Collingwood?
I might chew on the salt block with Cortek if he's up for it.
Hello?
Cortek, would you like to hang out with Pony?
Of course.
Do you want to chew my salt block?
Thanks, Mom.
Excellent. So there is a Planet Collingwood after party. I'm going to go lie down. I have to get up early in the morning. Jeez.
I'm going fishing tomorrow.
Ooh.
Sweet.
I got to get up in 4 hours.
PH or FI?
Actually, the animal, not the band.
Well, it could be internet fishing.
I heard that's Monty's favorite band, by the way.
Going for sturgeon.
Nice.
Yeah, not catfishing. That's my department. By the way, you owe me money. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was Planet Collingwood. We'll be back in 6 days and 22 hours. It's been a great show. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you had some laughs and just a good chin wag. Now I have to figure out what to call it. If you hang around, you'll be able to listen to Pony Pones and Corey Cortek. Oh, for God's sake. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. We will return soon. I love you all, but from afar. See you soon.